So when you're a professional hoof trimmer or working with cattle or any sort of heavy machinery, it's inevitable things are going to break. This is how I fix my stuff. I actually welded professionally and worked as a laser technician for a company who used to build cattle trucks or cattle floats if you're in Britain, cattle trucks if you're in America. So I learned how to weld aluminium on MIG, steel on MIG, and taught myself how to use stick or invert. So even if this was a nice flat edge and everything, if it was rusty it would still need to clean it up because oxygen burns and rust is just oxidization. So as soon as you put a welder on this, the rust will catch fire or explode and basically blow little holes all the way around and it'll be crap. So whoever did this probably didn't clean it up properly. I don't remember. Probably best to remove this. So the first process is to cut all of this bulbous material off. And we're going to use a cutting disc. Boom, 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 boom. This one. Just the work on the grinder there on its edge to make sure it's completely flat so that when we put the plate back up to it there's no gaps around the edges at all. Those gaps are what's going to cause blow throughs, and I've chamfered it all the way around, and that's so that I can V the weld into it, so it's going to be strong as hell. Yeah, let's go and do the plate now. So my brother was in the RAF, which is the Royal Air Force here in Britain, and they're saying the 7 Ps, which is proper planning and preparation prevents a piss poor performance, and that's the same with pretty much everything you do. So if you're doing a job like this, you need 3 discs. Well, the 2 are essential, the 3rd one makes it look better. First one's a grinding disc, so it's thicker, much harder compound, and it's used for pushing down, taking the metal down that way. Second one is a cutting disc, so it's extremely thin. This will slice straight through the metal, so it'll take the bulk of the metal away, which is what I do first. Third one is a polishing disc. So this is actually lots and lots of little bits of sandpaper basically joined together, and that'll polish everything up really good. If you know me, you'll know everybody takes the piss out of me pretty much constantly. So if a job doesn't look good, you're gonna get ripped out even more. Who needs a key? Now for those of you who are watching me do this thinking, he should have just used a bench grinder, you're right, it would have been much easier, but I can't be bothered changing the wheel over from the sharpening disc to the grinding disc. Okay, as you can see it's completely flat. I've chamfered right round the edge. so that that can V in with the weld on the other part that we just did. And I've removed all the rust from the outside. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to bolt this back through, line it up, tack it and get it welded on. Okay, as you can see it's all prepped up and it is clamped nice and tight so it can't move. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to tack it all up, make sure the tacks are square, and then we're going to weld it fully. Okay, let's go. I'm just using a tiny little cheap welder. It was £90 off Amazon, or $110 roughly. So you don't need anything expensive. The main things are, make sure you prepare as well as you possibly can, so all the steel has to be clean, and that includes where the contact electrode is, or where the clamp is. So that needs to be onto clean metal so that you're getting a good solid earth. If you don't have that, then you're going to get jumpy, sticky, horrible welds. I use a medium thickness stick. I never use anything too thin, because all that's going to happen is you're never going to get that real deep penetration into thick walled steel. I never use anything too thick, because again, if you use an electrode that is too thick, or a stick that's too thick, then all you're going to do is you're going to have to turn the power right up and it'll burn through the steel that you're trying to weld. Anyway, that's how I fix this. I'm pretty sure it won't break again. Maybe it will. If it does, I'll do another video on that. If you want to learn how to weld, keep watching the video, and I'm going to give you a very, very quick introduction on how to weld and the common mistakes people make. I'm not a professional welder. Kind of used to be, but never a stick welder anyway. So hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. If you do, please give me a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. Cheers guys. When you're welding round like this, you've got to just take your time and move whatever it is you're welding round in a circle. Okay, nice and easy. See that tiny bit of slag there? That would cause the weld to fail slightly in that area, so just tap it and it'll go away. Again, we're just gonna weave side to side, and then we're gonna go back round it all and fill it in again. Now see how it's cooling here? So we're going to need to wait for it all to cool for 15 to 20 seconds, and then we'll tap it off and remove the slag. The easier the slag removes, the better the weld. Lovely. Bellissimo! It's not quite finished obviously, but it has got really good penetration. What we're going to do is just tidy it up a little bit with the grinder so that people don't take the piss out of me and say it's terrible. Okay, so here's the finished article. Hope you can see it's fairly good. It's not the perfect weld obviously, because to get it perfect we would have taken this off, so I could have got at it much more easily and really got in there. Good, strong weld, and I would expect that not to break again. So, a couple of important things. The clamp, the welding clamp. Now, a lot of the time, the welding clamp is where you go wrong. You need a good strong connection here, no frayed wires, and the brass bit on the top and the steel bit on the bottom need to be fairly shiny. If there's any sort of oxidization on there, it's just a barrier, so the strength of the electrical current going through this is really going to impair your welding abilities. Then it needs to be onto clean metal, so I've shined that up a little bit. This is just a bit of scrap metal. What we're going to do is I'll lay a bead down here so you can see roughly how to weld. I'll show you why your welding electrode's sticking, why it's burning through steel, why it's not running smoothly, and then we'll weld this onto here. Okay? Just scrap, like I say. Anyway, let's see how it goes. This is just a little hobby welder I use for fixing things. If I was going to build anything major, I'd probably buy myself a MIG. But this is just a 130p inverter. It goes up to 130 here, all the way down to 10. It's got a built-in fan, and that's it. There's no settings, there's no sort of purge start or anything fancy like that. Just a clamp welder, like this. So, to set it up, start halfway. I'm going to start halfway because if you don't know, if you're watching this and you're trying to listen to me, then you really don't know what you're talking about. So the best place to start is roughly halfway for a medium thickness electrode. So these are what people call electrodes or stick. So they are mild steel, and these ones are 6013. I know that won't mean much to most of you. It doesn't actually mean that much to me. But it's a medium core, medium density stick basically. This flux stuff on the outside here, if you chip it, it'll break off. Now the reason for that is, if too much oxygen gets to the weld, the oxygen actually catches fire and little bubbles of air and gas appear inside the weld, and that's what makes welds extremely weak. We don't want that. So the flux actually protects the weld. The weld's happening inside the flux. If I hold that end on, you actually see the steel on the inside and flux on the outside. So as we weld, this flux melts around about the steel that is forming the weld itself. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lay a flat bead straight across here. I'll show you why sometimes the welding electrode will stick and you really struggle to get started, which is seriously frustrating but very easy to fix. So you should start off with a medium power, so around sort of 75 amps, but I'm going to turn this right down and show you why you can't get started sometimes. So, pop her in, pop, I like it at an angle. Now we're going to try and start a weld here, and it probably will just go and probably not even start. You see, oh, look, I'm even holding that against it, I'm rubbing it, and it's getting a tiny wee spark, and sticking like, exactly like that actually. That is seriously frustrating. Now, if that's happening to your welds, you've got the power down too low. So we are going to turn it up. I'll just turn it up a little bit and show you what happens when it nearly is right. So it's really sticking to the, you can see the rod's actually, the rod is bending as I'm trying to pull it. So that is what happens when your power is down too low. Now to get it right, turn it up gradually. So I'm going to turn this up to 80 amps. Now when you weld, you don't want to push. With a MIG electrode, so if you're using MIG, that's the gas welder, you'd be doing this and pushing the weld, the bead into the weld. You don't want to do that with stick. You want to pull it along, because if you push it, all you're doing is pushing the slag into the weld, and that's going to create a crappy weld. So when you weld, you can go straight if it's a small weld you're trying to do, so there's nothing too fancy or strong. If it needs a little more strength, you go side to side, so about this angle. If it's something you need seriously strong, figures of 8 are the best way to go, because you're putting almost twice the amount of steel into the weld. So let's go ahead and put this first weld in place. Okay, so that's just a straightforward side to side motion weld, which is pretty much what you do for everything. So in that weld, I started here. Now to start it, you're better just gently scratching it, not just whacking it down. If you whack it down, it'll stick. Now this grey stuff is the slag. The slag is what's protecting that inner weld from the oxygen outside and hopefully stopping it from getting bubbles. The easier the slag is removed, the better the weld. So I should just be able to tap this after sort of 10 seconds or 15 seconds and it should just break away. Just like that, see? So that's just straightforward weld. We're going to do a figure of 8 weld here, which is harder to do, but much, much stronger. Now straight away you can see that it's much higher, the weld. It's penetrated more deeply because there's more power and more temperature, more heat getting into that metal, which is where you're going to get the strength. If you go too hot though, you're going to blow holes. So again, 10, 15, 20 seconds or so, and that slag should break away very nicely. There you go, see there's much bigger striations in this, there's more height, and then where I've actually pulled it off here, you can see the pull is deeper because it's penetrating more into the steel itself. Now why are you blowing holes in things? Your steel's too thin or your rod is too hot. It's one of the two. This is how you blow holes in things when you shouldn't. Now what happened there was I paused for too long when I started the weld, and then because it had created a hole, the steel was super hot. So as I moved through, it just continued to heat up that steel and the weld fell through. So if you start to create a hole, you stop straight away. You either think, did I take too long moving? Was I moving too slowly? Or is my temperature too high? In this case, I was going too slowly. Right. Let's crack on and do a weld. Okay, so again, preparation's key. I've already shined this up, as you can see. This is going to be a really good connection between these two pieces of steel. Plonk it on top. If this was something that mattered, I would clamp it together, to be honest, but it doesn't matter because I'm just showing you guys. So we're going to start here. Now what you want to do is, the best place to start is on the corner of the steel because there's more strength in the corner, because there's about 30% more steel there. So we're going to start here, work up onto the connected piece of steel, work back, side to side motion, and fill that in. This is called a fillet weld. There we go, so that's just a small weld. If I wanted to put a lot of heat into this, I would have used a figure of 8 weld and get it really strong. But for the demonstration, we've just done side to side motion. Again, wait 10 or 15 seconds and smack it off. If you needed to weld on top of that weld, like if you'd messed it up a little bit and there was holes in it, you'd have to tap the slag off before you started welding over that hole again. Otherwise, the slag itself would start to cause problems and you'd be welding onto something that wasn't firm. So hopefully you can see that weld is very strong in